The most underrated tax haven in Europe as well as in the world.
Andorra.
This tiny, beautiful principality between Spain and France blew my mind. I did not expect such beautiful nature.
Look at that beautiful hiking trail. Absolutely incredible Andorra.
Such great people, such luxury. Right next to Spain, a 3-hour drive from Barcelona. There is a 10% tax on pretty much every income that you're gonna make. It used to be 0. You could be able to pay 0% on all your crypto, on everything. But the US and the EU bullied Andorra. Even though they're not part of the European Union, they still kind of have to follow their rules. So they increased that to 10%. If you're paying 50% in London or in Madrid, and you're looking for a better place to be an investor, mainly because if you want to open up a company in Andorra, that's going to take you 6 months, and you have to also live 6 months per year in Andorra, which is really boring, to be honest. There's a little bit of a hack to not live 6 months per year, which I'll tell you in a bit, but it mostly works for passive investors. As a passive investor, you only really need to live in Andorra for 90 days per year. And then you can go and travel to other countries during the rest of the year as long as you don't become a tax resident of any other country. So you can't spend 90 days in Andorra and then go spend 6 months in Spain. Obviously, that won't work. And you also need to invest in Andorra in order to get residency as a passive investor. You can't just open up a company and get residency that way, because then you would need to live 6 months per year in Andorra. If you want to do the passive residency, you need to invest 550,000 euros into real estate and then another 50,000 euros into an Andorran bank. But if you're looking for a place that is extremely beautiful, absolutely blew my mind how beautiful this country is. A lot more relaxed, a lot safer, a lot higher level culture, a lot cleaner, and you're also paying a ton less tax while also only needing to live 90 days per year, then Andorra might just be for you. But it's not perfect. Yes, it has the lowest VAT in all of Europe at 4.5%. The EU lowest VAT is 15%, but Andorra, again, is not part of the EU. Their permit, if you don't have Schengen access, gives you Schengen access. You have some of the best education in the whole world for your kids. Instead of taking them to Switzerland, you could take them to Andorra.
And something awesome about Andorra, not a single gay flag inside. I walked all through the capital, not a single gay flag.
It's also very friendly towards English speakers. There was a lot of English spoken when I was there. Obviously, I speak Spanish. They speak Catalan, English, Spanish, and French. And I've heard a lot of people speak English in Andorra, so I think it's pretty easy to adapt even if you only speak English. But if you want to learn Spanish, definitely a great place to do it while paying very little tax compared to the 45-50% that you're going to be paying in Spain. Now, there are some cons that I want to talk about because it seems nobody talks about this. And in my personal opinion, Andorra is very similar to Singapore. It's a Singapore on the mountains. It's very surveilled. There were cameras literally all over the country. These little cameras that I'm showing you here, they were everywhere, in every street, in every corner. It was a bit creepy, to be honest. There were also Chinese Wi-Fi routers all over the capital. Not sure what you think about China, but Chinese routers all over the capital, right next to cameras, bit creepy. When I see that, I get a bit anxious about seeing so much Chinese presence. Also, the government is quite intrusive. First of all, education for your children is compulsory. There is no homeschooling, there is no private tutors. Any child age 6 or above needs to be in school. If not, they cancel your residency permit. So if you get a residency by opening up a company, although you need to live 6 months if you open up a company, but let's say you get it by investing and you don't want to put your child in school, you just want to do homeschooling, then you're going to lose your residency permit and your lower tax. And let's say you don't want to vaccinate your children. I'm not talking about the jab from a couple of years ago. I'm talking about normal vaccinations. When kids grow up, the normal vaccines they need to take. If you don't want to do that, then guess what? Your children will not be accepted into school, meaning that they're going to cancel your residency permit. And guess what happens if you don't like your neighbors and your neighbors don't like you? They can ask your neighbors if you've been a good person, if you've been a good resident, and if your neighbors are Andorran and they don't like you, they don't like your presence in their building, they can tell the government employees that you haven't been living in Andorra, that you've been away from the country, you haven't been satisfying your 90 days or your 6 months, and again, your residency permit can be cancelled just because your neighbors don't like you and they said that you don't live in Andorra, that you're just traveling the world and you're pretending to live in Andorra. There is a hack to not spend the 6 months per year that you have to spend if you have a company, and that is by having your children in school. So if you have 2 children, aged 14 and 10, and you put them in school, you put them through the vaccinations, everything, you can legally stay less than 6 months in Andorra because the government doesn't really care that much as long as your children are in school. And even better, if your wife stays in Andorra. If your wife and your kids stay more than 6 months and you stay 3 months, that's completely fine because they see it as you're really living in Andorra. You have an apartment in Andorra, you have a home, your kids are in school, you're really living in Andorra. They want to see that that's your real home, similar to Monaco, but they take it to the next level. I thought Switzerland was strict because to get Swiss citizenship, they ask your neighbors if you're a good citizen, if you're a good person. But in Andorra, to keep your residency, they ask your neighbors, which seems a bit too much. Now, let's say that regardless of these drawbacks of Andorra, you love the low taxes, you love the beautiful nature, you love that they speak Spanish, you want to learn another language, you like that there's luxury, there's peace, there's safety, and you want to get citizenship in Andorra. This takes 20 years to get the Andorran passport, and you need to renounce any other citizenship that you might have. If your kids are born in Andorra, then it only takes 10 years for them to get citizenship, but that seems a little bit excessive. So it's not really a place where you want to go to get a second passport.
The main thing I don't like so far after a couple of days, apart from the fact that it's a little bit boring and not that many people, is that things close from 4 to 7:30 or 8. So if you're hungry at 5 or 6 and you're in a hotel, you're kind of screwed because even the restaurant inside of the hotel is closed. Maybe because now it's in May, so it's not quite summer season and it's not quite winter season. It's kind of in the middle. Maybe that's why they close so long, but some restaurants are closed for an entire month. There are restaurants that are not even going to open until next month.
Now, my overall review of Andorra, I would give it a 8 out of 10 because I was enchanted by the country. I fell in love with the nature. The people were super friendly, absolutely loved it, but the surveillance and control and intrusion from the government, I just can't pick it as a home for myself. Also, I'm not really sure I want to spend 6 months a year, for example, in the case if I start a company in Andorra, because it is very small, although it's beautiful. It gets pretty boring. Now that you know about Andorra, if you want to see other amazing countries that my wealthy clients choose to go to pay less taxes, have more freedom, keep more of their own wealth, check out the video that's going to pop up right here. The countries that my wealthiest clients choose as their home. Check it out right now.